Alright, what's good? I'm back with another tutorial video on how to master the L-sit to handstand. I'm going to be giving another big breakdown from starting with the requirements needed, that would help a lot, and going into the technique breakdown, and finally the progressions that's going to take you there and mastering the L-sit to handstand. Let's not waste no more time, let's get right into it. Starting with the requirements that's going to help you a lot towards mastering the L-sit to handstand is going to be learning number one, the L-sit. First, be able to hold an L-sit for at least 15 to 20 seconds. I highly recommend this because you're building a base for yourself. And that goes along with the handstand. Know how to at least hold a handstand for 5 to 10 seconds, because when you go L-sit to handstand, you're gonna need that balance between both. On top of this, there's two more. One is going to be some basic upper body strength. I highly recommend that, if you have some basic upper body strength, you can do, like, let's say 10 pike push-ups, 10 to 15 pike push-ups. That's perfectly fine. When you go L-sit to handstand, you really need to push yourself up. It's a big pushing movement, especially a lot in the shoulders and upper chest. And last but not least, hamstring flexibility is going to be so important, especially when doing a L-sit and kind of tucking your legs through. It's going to help a lot if you have that range of motion within your hamstrings. Now let's talk about the technique breakdown, or kind of the form when learning the L-sit to handstand before we get into the progressions. I think this is really important to understand, because if you learn how to do the skill correctly, you're going to be less prone to injury, and doing it correctly the first time and learning how to actually go through the movement is going to help you progress a lot faster anyways. So number one, when you have the parallettes by your side, and if you don't have parallettes, you're watching this, you're like, bro, I don't even have parallettes. It's okay. Link in the description, bro, go grab your parallettes now. But if you don't even have parallettes, it's fine. You can do this with like books or even a chair. It might be a little unsafe, honestly, but it's going to be a lot harder on the ground. I highly recommend you do invest in parallettes, but again, you can do this on some other stable surface. So having the parallettes right by your side, what you're going to do first is depress your shoulders. So focus on bringing your shoulders down and back away from your neck. You want to kind of elongate your neck, elongate your spine, so you're giving yourself that range there. Next thing you're going to do is, when you go into the L-sit, focus on trying to tuck your knees, keeping your knees tucked together, and kind of like bringing your legs through behind and back through your hips. Avoid kind of crossing your legs. This is something I did a lot at first, and if you have to do it at first, that's totally fine, to actually build the flexibility to be able to, and the strength to be able to bring your knees together and kind of tuck them. I think this is a lot better, and it looks a lot more clean too. When you can do an L-sit, just keep your legs tucked, keep them tucked the whole time, and then kick up into the handstand. What I noticed when I did a lot of cross-legged is that every time I would come up, while keeping my legs crossed, my legs were all like discombobulated, they were everywhere, and my alignment would be off, and I would just instantly fall from going the L-sit to handstand. So it really challenged me to learn to keep my legs together, keep my knees tucked, and then keep everything like compact in your body. And from that point, what you want to do is, when you're tucking your body, shift your head forward. So physically shift your head forward, keep all the tension in your upper body as your hips are shifting forward as well. And you're doing this as your toes are staying together. You're keeping your toes pointed throughout the motion, and you're pushing up into that handstand. Finally, the progressions of how to learn the L-sit to handstand, probably the part everyone has been waiting for. They might even skip right to this part because I got the timestamps at the bottom. So here we are. The first progression is going to be a tuck planche. And this is why I find the parallette bars to be so important, because it's going to help you progress a lot faster. It's going to be a lot less painful on your wrists. I got the parallette bars by my side, keeping my arms straight as I'm doing the tuck planche, and then keeping my knees tucked and close to my body, and I'm just slightly leaning forward. I highly recommend you first master this for at least 5 to 10 seconds of a hold to really build that strength. You're gonna feel it in your shoulders. It's gonna be kind of tough at first. The second progression is going to be L-sit rocks. So from an L-sit, you're learning how to rock your body back. So you're physically kind of going back into that motion of a handstand, but you're not going back too far. You're just learning how to kick your body back, L-sit to a rock, L-sit to a rock. At least be able to do 3 to 5 reps of this. From this point, what you can do is an L-sit rock to your hips elevated. So you have to at least get, you want to master each progression before you're moving on to the next. You can dabble with each and see where you're at. Maybe one progression you could jump right to, and you don't really need to learn the regression. You can just jump right to one of them. That's totally fine. The L-sit to L-sit rocks the hip when your hips are elevated. It's just challenging you to rock a little higher, where my hips are pushing a lot higher towards the sky rather than just a shorter range of motion. At least be able to do 2 to 4 of these L-sit to rocks to where your hips are elevated. It's a little more of a challenge, so a little less reps. And last but not least, an exercise, a progression that really has helped me most is doing a handstand to an L-sit negative. So a negative, I mentioned this in previous videos, even in my muscle up tutorial, I'll tag that right up there, I'm pretty sure, that doing negatives is going to make you stronger in the positive. So if I do a handstand, that's why it's gonna help being able to do a handstand and then slowly coming down into a L-sit where I'm taking my time, keeping my body tucked, and then my legs are straight. That negative portion is gonna make me stronger in the positive portion, being able to then do an L-sit to a handstand. Personally, I highly recommend you do about 3 to 5 reps of these negatives, the handstand to L-sit. It's just gonna help you progress a lot faster in the long run if you're practicing it more often. And the last thing I'm gonna share on, again, as I shared earlier in the video, is parallette bars. Now, I know that most people don't really have parallette bars, and that's totally fine. What you can do, as I mentioned before, is grabbing some books, putting it by your side. If books are too unsafe, I mean, even if you're just trying to learn the L-sit, you can use books. Even if you're just trying to do some rocks or even the planche hold, use some books, that's totally fine. But when you're progressing to an L-sit to a handstand, the books might be a little unstable. So I highly recommend you either grab some stable chairs or just grab something in your home or something outside that's like stuck to the ground that's not gonna move around. That's gonna help you progress a lot. And if you're looking for parallettes, I will link the parallettes that I use in the description below in case you want to invest. They're very good quality. They've been lasting me for like months now, so I highly recommend them. They look pretty fire too. All right, there you have it. That's the tutorial on how to master the L-sit to handstand. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it's going to guide you in your success. Let me know in the comments below where you're at in your progress. I would love to hear it, and I'll get back to you. Much love to each and every one of you. I appreciate you sticking to the end of this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you are new. See you in the next video. Peace. I'm about to give you a cheat code for mastering the L-sit to handstand with ease. Look at this. Don't wear shoes, bruh. It's a cheat code. It's like taking the weights off if you're Goku. Don't do it. I mean, is it cheap? I don't know. Am I doing it? Yeah.